friends. Glad you're tracking with us in our little marriage seminar. And I thought it'd be very helpful to introduce you to my friends Dave and Heather Deloach. And if you spend any time at Covenant Church, you know them. They've been a fixture for many years, and they've been good friends of mine for many years. So I appreciate you guys doing this. Now, Dave and Heather both have, you guys have this pretty incredible, informal ministry to married couples who are in crisis, or, you know, they got a flat tire, that kind of thing. Like things are wobbling in the wrong direction. And Jason and I, as we talk or we hear about that in marriages, we're like, we've got to connect them to Dave and Heather. But that ministry didn't come from anywhere. It came from several years of struggle in your own marriage. Absolutely. And learning things about each other and fighting through some difficulties and pushing through the quitting points. And you guys have done that. And I got to be a third party in some of that, yes. You know, watching it and then seeing just this incredible restoration and continued growth between the two of you. So I want you guys, as best I can, I would just want you to share some of the story that would be helpful to other couples that you wish before you could have told yourself these things. Of course, we all have that, right? That's why hindsight's 2020. But most of us were too hard-headed to listen to those things before, and we had to go through the pain. We had to go through the storm in order to learn these things. So every great story has this like escalating conflict that creates this tension. And so I want to talk about that, but let's back it up even a little before. Like before the storm, what happened kind of in the storm that kind of led to that? And I know with yours, Dave, you were in a literal storm.
Actual storm.
In a literal storm. And then how God has redeemed and restored your marriage specifically. So, Dave, why don't you give us a little context in the before of, you know.
Well, we got married in 2009, blended family. She has the twins, and I had Cade. They were young. They were littles whenever we got married. I think the tension probably started just not being very mature going into that second marriage for both of us. And it was an us versus them, kind of always. Just a bubbling underneath me and my boys and me and my boy, and never us. Never. And that just came to the table in everyday arguments, and just like we had 90% conflict and 10% fun. And that was 10 years of that. It was just, and we'd get out of town together, and there'd be a little bit of reprieve to come up for air, and then we'd go back into oxygen starvation for months. And just, but we looked great from the outside, but it was a complete and total fraud. I mean, just, I know people in the church that can completely, I guess, identify with you're fighting all the way to church, get to church, put on the face. Even at Covenant, I mean, everybody's known at Covenant, but just put on the face and then get back in the car and argue all the way home. And just terrible. I just was a terrible existence. I don't know how we made it on 4 flat tires, but we're both very stubborn people, and no, we're not going to quit. Sometimes it was for image, sometimes it was for our kids, and yeah.
Heather, tell us in your words, how would you describe that before?
Well, it was more of I could do things better. Like I could manage my kids better. Dave could manage Cade better, but I could manage Seth and Ethan better, and we could coexist, but we weren't going to be one.
Right.
And that never, I mean, it was just a volcano waiting to erupt. That's all that was. It was, I feel like parts of our marriage, like he said, there were good times, but ultimately those good times were just like he said, on vacations, and we were both trying, well, I was trying to lead a marriage. That's all. I mean, I didn't want to lead a marriage, but I wanted the control of the marriage. There's no doubt. I wanted to feel like I was in control, because I could make the decisions better. It was both of us striving to create this perfect marriage, but on our own terms.
Sure.
Like I wanted it done this way, and he wanted it done this way, and neither of us wanted to come together because his way was wrong.
Right.
And my way was wrong. But we weren't looking for unity. We were just looking for a perfect marriage, and I don't know.
We both quit wrestling and we both lost and we finally won.
Yeah.
I mean, literally,
That's a good way to put it.
If you want to wrap it up, it's like we both had to lose. I had to die, she had to die, and now we live. I mean, it's just...
Well, I know both of you are pretty strong personalities. Both of you have some self-assurance that you know the right way to go. And so as a third party watching this, almost like two horses yoked up trying to take it, and you don't even care about the carriage, which would be the marriage. You're just trying to both, we're just going. And fast forward, so that's how things were. I remember, and you guys were trying to work on it, because multiple times I was in your living room or on your back porch, and you were just like someone who's been working, the horses pulling at each other, so tired of doing that. And both of you have told me in different things and together, something's got to change. I cannot do this another day. I can't do it another day. And but you hadn't been brought low yet, right? And God was in that whole process as you look back, right? Just so in that process. And then I get a call from Dave in 2018 from the bottom of a boat somewhere, literally from the bottom of a boat. And I think that's kind of where, right, you moved from the tension in the marriage to, okay, something's happened.
Yes. Well, on the way, so Cade and I went to Sea Base, which is in the Keys of Florida, and we spent 6-7 days in the Atlantic Ocean with 6 other guys, 2 other dads for me, and 5 other young men that were scouts. And I went down there self-assured because I've been sailing since I was 21. Like you said, I'm confident. I'm just going to let those guys do it. And God had different plans to where, I mean, the doesn't often storm at night in the Keys. I was Jonah on that boat, and it was every night. The one thing that I can't stand is lightning. I can't stand it. I hate it. I fly close to it all the time, but just far enough away from it you can look at it from a distance. Well, I was on a boat with like a 50-foot mast, and I slept right next to it, and there was storms every night. So he just took me to the end of me, and had a Lieutenant Dan night where I'm sitting up on, I'm like, okay, what else you got? Sitting up on the front of the boat, all-powerful Dave, and then I went to sleep with some Advil PMs. I had found out that on the way down there that she was looking for an apartment, and that just wrecked me. At the same time, I had to keep that face on that looked good to all my young men and the other dads. And in the process, that face fell off. And at 4:30 in the morning, I was sleeping up in the V-berth in the front of the boat, and I have the port open above me, and this storm, the anchor rod shifts, and it goes clank, and I wake up and I start, and there's 50 knots blowing straight in the hole, and lightning everywhere, and it just boom. I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm done controlling anything. I don't want any control. God, you take the wheel. And I thought I was saved when I was 11, but I'd probably done the worst parts of my life. I knew the Bible. I knew theology. My dad was an itinerant pastor. All of that got me nowhere. I had it all up here, and none of it was here. And yeah, all of that just took me to a place where I needed to find him.
Heather, tell us, he's on the boat. You're looking for an apartment or an apartment or whatever. What led that to you? Were you running, or
Well, yeah.
what was the...
So the weeks for him going to, you know, he's going to the Keys with Cade and preparing, and me and the boys are hanging out at the house, and I'm getting bitter, and we're fighting, and what the thoughts that are in my head are, whether you're better off being a single parent raising the kids. You know, I mean, why not? I mean, the enemy's voice during that time was so loud, shining a light on all the things that I could do if I was away from Dave. And so as he's preparing to go to the Keys, I am getting my ducks in a row on, I could do it better alone. I would rather have peace at all cost, even if it causes chaos, than to keep going. I just watched the boys and I self-destruct, where he comes back and Dave is this new man, and I didn't believe him. You know, I'm like, well, he's lost us. He's trying to get us back. Where he had the softer hearts and had all these things to tell me of what the Lord had done in his life. And he was on this ship, and, you know, he had this amazing encounter with the Lord. And I didn't want nothing to do with that, because I had prayed for years, years of journals on, Lord, change my heart or change Dave's heart. Let the words not bother me. Let the words not bother Dave. Change something in our marriage. I remember Dave had pointed this out because I have prayer journals, and he said, Heather, you prayed for a cataclysmic change in our marriage. Well, it happened. There was this growth that happened, and he never stopped pursuing me. He never stopped pursuing me, no matter. I would say horrible things to him to get him to leave. He would come over to the apartment, and I would just shut the door on him. You go home. And he never, he would leave, but he never shut the door on me. He was always pursuing me.
I always knew. I'm sorry. It was when I came back from that trip and with the boat, it didn't matter what happened or how many times, because God said, we're going to go get her. Through your hand, like, he used me. He's like, you're going to go take some arrows, and some of them are going to come from her, but we're going to go get her. She's mine. She's my daughter. We're going to go get her. And because she got saved probably 5 years into our marriage, but when she started, and I know a lot of people identify with this, when she started pulling and reading and digging, it's like, I don't know what it is with couples. It's like one takes off biblically and the other one starts throwing rocks. And then this one takes off and then the other one throws, like, it's always the enemy's working to divide. It's always working to offend and then divide, isolate, and then destroy. It's always. And so we had those, it's just like this, over and up and down, over and over again. But in that moment, it was like, we're going to go get her. It doesn't matter what it costs you. And that, for the first time ever, I actually understood, like, love her like Jesus does. It doesn't matter. We're going to, not until I'm putting myself up on a pedestal, because I know all that I had done. I know the verbal abuse. I know all of the things that I was capable of because I was this nice guy in my mind until I didn't get my way.
Right.
And you were happy and bubbly and fun magnet until she didn't get her way. And that's what, we brought this childhood experiences into our marriage far down the road, and we never dealt with any of that.
Right.
Can't remember Luke Richardson saying over and over again that his favorite verse concerning Melissa was Psalms 128:3 of, your wife will be, it's a promise, your wife will be a well-watered vine inside your house. And she wasn't. It was weeds all in her garden that I let grow there. And what I needed to do was be the man that nurtured her, that fed her, that watered her, that cared for who she was as a person. She's a beautiful woman, but that's all I saw. And I didn't get, and I felt entitled to that. I think there's nothing more dangerous or putrid, honestly, than a nice guy that does things to get his way and then doesn't get his way, and then he turns into the jerk. And that's who I was. That's who I was. I did things. I took care of her. I spoiled her, all so I'd get.
Yeah.
Not out of the abundance of who I was, not because Jesus does because he can.
Right.
Not because he'll get something back from you. It's not a two-way street. It's just one way. And that's the part of me that grew, the part of me that changed was love her. Love her. Just do it. You don't have to get anything back. And then this supernatural turn of events was she just came back. It just happened. It just turned into this fruitful, vibrant friendship and relationship where I am her escape. Like I come home, she comes home from work, sometimes it's like, here, favorite drink, bathtub, I'll see you in an hour. Because her words are all used up, you know?
Right.
And it's not just like a passive husband, I am aggressively pursuing her heart.
Right.
So,
And what about you in that, what was the moment where you thought, was it in the pizza place? So you're like, you know what? I think we're going to make it through this. I think this is.
Yes. That moment though came. He had picked me up from my apartment one night, and he goes, "Hey, let's take a ride." And he said he drove me to another apartment complex, and he said, "We can make this work." And I looked at him, and he said, it was another apartment complex when it was 3 bedrooms, and he said, look, like, basically he said our old life is our old life. Like, our old life is just that. We can just start over. And that was a realization that truly, like we both had to die, and that was, I think that was it. You know, it's like, Heather, were you willing to die like I saw Dave be Jesus to me. You know, he, like, through all of this junk and what we walk through, he was still guiding and leading and pursuing. And I saw a changed heart, a softer heart. And I think that was that moment of, okay, let's do this.
Last question. At some point, you guys, you know, are willing to share your story. And I've asked you before, and you weren't ready, right? And and there's a lot more to your story than what we're sharing here, of course.
Yeah.
What would you tell anyone who's watching and engaging that are in one of those situations, either the angst in the home, and this is not what I signed up for, and 10% good and 90% is, you know, the volcano that you said, or the couple that is in the crisis. I mean, literally in the middle of it, and they might not be living in separate homes, but they're not living like a married couple. They're just, you know, they're in the middle of the crisis. What would your advice be to them at this point?
the one thing the enemy doesn't want you to do is be known. He wants to lie to you and tell you you have patent on this and you're the only one going through it. And that's absolute, just a lie. So many people in our church are going through this. So many people. And it's not that we like, oh, we have knowledge of it. It's just you can feel it. Once you've been through it, you can smell it. You can smell it. And it's, I want them to know that it's okay to be known. In fact, it's the only place you're going to find fruit and happiness and joy is if you're 99.6% known, you're not known.
Right.
And that one little thing that you're clinging to that's in your closet, behind the drapes, behind everything, behind the boxes, God wants that too.
Yeah.
And when you let that go, just get ready.
It's good.
It's good. Yes.
It's good. Would you add to that?
I wouldn't know. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, you knew 90% of our stuff, you know? You didn't know it all, you know? And that was the hardest part is you knew something wasn't right. You couldn't figure it out. You know, we know we want help. Something wasn't right. And so you had given us the warning, you know?
Remember that.
You gave us the warning.
Remember you were in Napa, and you're like, I got a vision that the enemy is in high places aiming at your marriage with fiery darts. I don't know if you remember that or not.
Yeah, I don't get a whole lot of visions like that from God, and that one actually scared me. And And so I just let you guys know, hey, I don't know what's going on. I know that the enemy's coming after you hard.
But it was a warning that
It was a warning.
that you were there for, that you had this knowledge
But
of.
you knew. That's the thing is, like I feel like the Lord has given us a just a gift now because of what we walked through, that we can sense that when there's a marriage in crisis, or not even crisis, but there's just something not right, and that tell somebody. You know, that's the biggest thing is because there's redemption in that.
Sure.
You know,
Stop
you just have
pretending.
to be,
Don't continue to fight the battle with 3 arrows in you.
Right.
Stop. Pull the arrows out. Heal. Go back to war.
Yeah.
I mean, we're here to fight. We're here to make the battle against the enemy. That's what we're here for. There's something that changed in me. It was I laid down the nice guy that had to do in order to get, and became like God changed something inside of me. It's like my whole presence has changed.
Yeah.
Only because I know the battle now. I know the stench.
Right.
And I know to go to war. God has equipped us for that, and it's what He made every man to do.
Right. That's good. Thank y'all for sharing. Yeah. I know this is getting back into some of that pain is not always easy, and I really feel like some of the things you've said are really going to help some people. And if you're engaging and watching, and you feel like you're in one of those places, I would just echo their words to reach out to somebody. And they didn't tell you about the intensive counseling they went through with Ross, how they got fired from one counselor, and in God's providence.
It was 10 long years.
And Ross has been a great help, or that they stay connected, certainly with me through texting and other people. And so if you're really struggling, listen, this is not no pretense, no posing. We want to help you. Part of sin, way back in the garden, the immediate effect of sin entering the world was hiding and blaming. That's the first thing they did, hiding and blaming. And that's still the case today. When we start walking in sin, we start hiding and blaming. And so I would just encourage, alongside them, encourage you to take a step of obedience, as Dave talked about. Let somebody know. Let us pray for you, get you the right help you need. All for your good, the good of your marriage, and for God's glory. So thanks a lot. Y'all can find Dave and Heather if you need some help. They would love to and encourage you, pray for you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. It was great.